putting them on the same plane with the
No,
Kobe Bryants and the Ray Allens of the world.
no. Remember, this is not the
Then
NBA Hall of
then
Fame. This is the
then,
basketball
then he don't
Hall
go
of
in.
Fame. It
Then he
looks
don't go
at
in.
his college all the
Oh,
way through his
oh.
professional.
All right.
He's getting in.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and with us today for this Wind Up Wednesday edition as we talk NCAA tournament as well as the NBA. Captain for life, Will Cotton. Will, what's going on, man?
How's it going? I'm ready to go to Scottsdale next week, so I need some restaurants from Robert.
All right. Academic and athletic consultant for the CKSA Project, George Arkin. George, have you ever been to Phoenix, George? How you doing?
Yes, I have, buddy. And Scottsdale is beautiful. Phoenix, not so much, but Scottsdale is beautiful. Scottsdale and Tempe are beautiful.
All right. And our favorite administrator, Robert Abney. Robert, first of all, thank you for the advice. I have not had a bad meal in Phoenix. How you doing, man?
You know what? I'm living the dream over here. Been watching a lot of good basketball. Weather's warming up. I got my shopping done pre-eclipse because the eclipse came through here on Monday, and I had to go to the grocery store on Friday, and it was a madhouse. You would think the world was ending.
It might. Who knows?
All right. So let's just jump right into it. Fans, we're taping on Sunday, thinking UConn's going to win, but Purdue's got a shot, but who cares? That's not what we're here to talk about. George, what's the best thing you saw all tournament, man?
I'm going to be selfish right now, and Will Cotton's going to love this. I love that the thing I love the best was the performance by the Duke Blue Devils. I was not expecting them to get as far as they got. They played very well. But just like anything else, you know, when you run into a team on a heater, it doesn't matter what you do. And NC State was, even though it was a good feel-good story, and DJ was on. DJ's been hot. Yeah, they were on a heater, and there was nothing you could do against them at this point in time. So, yeah, that was my surprise and feel-good story right there.
All right, Will, what was the best thing you saw about the NCAA tournament?
Oh man, DJ Byrne, man. You know, I thought that dude was amazing. I thought every year there's a guy out there who never looks the way that a basketball player is supposed to be, and he is dominating. I mean, the dude can pass. He has a little soft shot right there when he turn around, nice little soft joint.
Go left, only
hands.
left.
You know, it's all good. It's all good. You know, but that's what the tournament's about. It's supposed to be guys that's not always on the ESPN or on the Twitter, on socials that are getting put out there. It's the guys like that you never watch that go into the tournament, and you can really see like, yo, this dude can ball, like, man. And it does. And the best thing is, it's not. He can be big. You can be short. You can be, you don't have to be the prototypical kind of look of a basketball player and still be an effective player. And that's what I love about the NCAA tournament, is that we get exposed to things like that. So that's one thing that I really thought was really cool.
All right, Robert, what about you? The best thing you saw in the tournament?
I'll agree with I loved watching NC State. I mean, there were times when they were hard to watch. I loved watching that big kid, though. Loved him. And no, George, he does not have a right hand, but he can turn over either shoulder.
Yes.
And they list him at 6'9", 275.
Like 267.
Ain't no 27. Well, ain't no 265 there. we're three bills at least.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, just the way he plays, and that other guard, that guard they have, DJ Horn, and I know he's moved around a little bit, but he's a good player, very good player. So I enjoyed watching them. In the end, I mean, UConn and Purdue coming out, that I think was what a lot of people would have expected. But, I'm good with that. There's two good teams playing in an Edie in the post. That'll be fun.
Yeah. So for me, it was UConn's dominance and the fact that Danny Hurley is coaching. He's coaching in a way in this era that is refreshing because he doesn't care and he's winning. And because he's winning and he doesn't care, he's making moves that a lot of coaches are scared to make, that he's not afraid to make. He is rough. He is gruff. He says some things that you're like, ooh, but I like that. So UConn's dominance was the best thing I've seen. I think they'll win. So if I'm wrong, we're just guys on the podcast, as Robert likes to say. George, what's the worst thing you saw for the NCAA tournament?
I think the worst thing I saw was the way Houston's guard went down in that Duke game. That was crushing. I wanted, because Houston could have been a major factor. Duke was playing great. I think they shot like 56% from three that game or whatever. But when their main guard went down, I forgot his name's missing it right now. But when he went down, it just changed the whole complexion of the team. So that, and the fact that, I hate to say this, but I put the game on and might pay attention to it or just check the score. Not like when I'm watching the women's game where I'm sitting there and like watching every play. So that's the one big thing.
Okay. Will, what about you? What was the worst thing you saw in the tournament?
I don't know if you guys heard, but did you hear about the overinflated basketballs that are going around? They were talking about, and they're saying that the balls were overinflated in like Dallas, and there was another site, and that there was metrics that say that those are the two lowest field goal percentage cities that they have in NCAA in like all time.
Brady game.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's just one-off kind of thing. I mean, there was one guy who was probably doing his own thing, whatever. The NCAA they'll address it. They'll pull a policy in. They'll say, okay, well, here's how we measure it. This person needs to be doing it. This person, can't just be, the coach's son who's 10 years old. He wants to be part of the team. But that was probably, for me, it was a pretty well tournament. I mean, outside of like the actual skill and the game, it was a pretty good tournament. It was watchable. It wasn't like I'm going to turn off and watch something else. But the inflate gate was probably the worst thing, kind of stain on the NCAA men's tournament, in my opinion.
The guy that was inflating the balls, he worked for Tom Brady, right?
Probably.
Okay. I figured.
We're gonna move to the side and say, Robert, what's the worst thing you saw in the NCAA men's tournament?
I will say that there were some games that were awfully tough to watch. Just not good. I mean, there was a lot of not good shooting. Guys taking shots they shouldn't take, and like Alabama had, they figured out a system and it took them all the way to the Final Four where, okay, we're going to find a bunch of guys who can shoot and play defense, and we're going to get layups and free throws. We're going to get free throws, layups, and 3-point shots in that order, and we're not going to shoot anything else. And they had a system, and, that they were fun to watch because they were hard to guard. But there were a lot of teams where you didn't really even have to guard them because they just were going to miss the shots. So I'm hoping that maybe there's some recalibration about what people think and how people play. But in the end, it's like I think one of y'all already said, it's not like I was going to turn it off and watch something else.
All right. Along those lines, Robert, for me, the worst thing I saw was the amount of shot takers in this tournament and not shot makers. What the heck kind of drills are you guys doing? The first one to miss 500? Because guys were just, I'm sitting there like, why do you have 47 points and there's 5 minutes left? Hey, guys, Will played on a team where we walked in the gym with 50 points from 2 guys before we even threw the ball up in a high school game. Yeah, 2 guys was going to score 50, and then that's how we started. So to see as many missed shots as I see with all of the trainers, George, and the cone drills, that was just really, really bad. It was just, make a shot. You're open, and you're just bricklaying all over, building condominiums. Anyway, all right, George, what's the most surprising thing you saw in the tournament?
Feel good story, NC State. They were coming off that ACC tournament run. DJ hits big shots, and then he hit big shots in the tournament, and they kept finding ways to win. So yeah, that was the feel good story. That's the feel good story of the whole tournament. Too bad they couldn't make the final, but what are you going to do?
You have to make a shot to do that, George.
Yeah, that's true. That like I said. So like I said, too bad you couldn't make it there. So anyway, but yeah, that's my feel good story of the tournament.
Okay, Will, what's the most surprising thing you saw in the tournament?
On the anti of the women's game, there was no star power. There was really nobody that I would want to watch or look for, I mean, the most I got was the kid from Duke who has the fingernails and painted. I saw DJ Byrne in NC State. But other than that, there was really no must-watch player, must-watch something. So that kind of was surprising for me. Hopefully it changes next year with Cooper Flagg. Kind of hoping on that. But yeah, they lacked they lacked the star power, and they really needed it. But they really didn't need it. The women kind of carried it for them, and so. But they did need a star, and even like a dominant like team outside of like UConn that we like watched and followed. Everyone else was kind of like, oh, Duke. I'm like, I had a family tournament joint. Guys are picking Duke and Kentucky, and I'm looking at them like, what? We all watching. But yeah, they need star power bad, and let's see if Cooper Flagg can provide that for them next year.
All right, Robert, what about you? What was most surprising?
Just I think I kind of agree with Will. Just a real lack of storylines that made you want to watch.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a basketball fan, we're all basketball fans. We're gonna watch. But there was no what was going to draw somebody who's a casual fan in to watch the tournament. No players, no storylines. Nobody's undefeated. Nobody's dominant. It just kind of there wasn't anything to really draw people in. And truthfully, I mean, the storyline, even for the championship game, I mean, okay, you got 2 1 seeds.
Boring.
Want UConn is going for a repeat. Yeah. Okay. Zach Edey is probably going to be the 2-time player of the year. Okay. But neither of those are like, oh my gosh, I gotta, this must see TV. It's not there.
It has become the era in time of basketball heads and alumni who really pay attention right now to the tournament. Your casual fan is like, there's nothing for them right there. There's nothing to draw them in. So yeah, Robbie, you're smart. You're right with that one, man.
Yeah, and for me, along those lines, I'm in Phoenix. I'm at the Final Four, and it was kind of it was great food. Not a bad meal all week, but NC State, Alabama, Purdue, UConn. The Purdue fans was very nice at the hotel. NC State fans, everybody's nice, but there's no pop. And I was surprised at how unexciting it is to be at the Final Four. So,
Well, the story, I mean, as soon as NC State, and that's why NC State was the feel-good story, and once they lost, there went that thing that everybody would have hung their hat on, because they would have been like, oh, there'd been like 83 revisited and be like, okay, we're going to ride with them again. But as soon as they lost, it lost all its interest right there.
Yeah, they needed UConn to lose so everybody can be like, oh, anybody can win now.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's one of those years, I guess.
So fans, when we get back in segment 2, it is actually going to happen. There is another postseason tournament beyond the NCAA that's going to draw the casual players. We'll be right back on the iCoaches podcast.
The reviews are in for Dr. Keith Adams' book, Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. College professor and student athlete academic expert Dr. Lisa Rubin said, "There is nothing out there like this book, so I do hope people will pay attention and give it a read." Former George Mason standout Folarin Campbell said, Consider this book an opportunity to work directly with Dr. Adams, just like I did. I assure you that there will be something you can take away that will be useful to you throughout your personal journey. Ryan Waite, a recent college graduate who is a software engineer, said, "I like how the book is based on research, which makes it good for general students as well as student athletes." The book serves as both a memoir to Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic career, as well as an instructional guide to assist student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators navigate through the challenges of finding a better balance between academic and athletic success. The book includes over 15 personal stories and anecdotes from Dr. Adams, along with numerous former players and colleagues from a variety of sports and endeavors. You can order your copy at www.ckasaveproject.org. From the main page, simply click CKA Save Project Services and order the Find the Balance book. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the iCoaches Podcast. In segment 2, it's really happening. Fox Sports and AEG will launch a new postseason college basketball tournament next year. The College Basketball Crown will be a 16-team tournament taking place from March 31st through April 6, 2025 in Las Vegas, George. The games will be played at the MGM Grand Garden Arena and the T-Mobile Arena. Both venues have hosted college basketball games in the past. Teams that do not qualify for the NCAA tournament will be eligible. The Big Ten, the Big 12, and the Big East, whose games are carried by Fox, will each have 2 automatic entries. The other teams will be selected by a committee. The tournament is expected to be the biggest competitor to the National Invitational Tournament. The NCAA, which runs the NIT, changed its selection process. And Robert, we said that was going to bite them in the butt to include more Power 6 conferences. However, at least 8 schools, all but one being from a power conference, declined invitations to the NIT this year. The NIT is the oldest major tournament. Robert, I'm going to start with you, man. This just came across your desk. This is happening. You see AEG's there. There's money. What are your thoughts about the new tournament coming to the postseason?
First of all, I mean, aside from the money, why? Why? I mean, put the money in the NIT. I don't know. But I guess the question I have is, okay, so you're going to run this tournament. It's going to start 2 weeks after the NCAA tournament. So basically, you're going to have teams sit around for 2 weeks, 3 weeks that didn't make the NCAA tournament. You got the portal still going on. Are teams going to refuse to play in this tournament because they've got to attend to the portal and because they're losing guys to the portal? Or are they going to show up because they are getting money with whoever they got, which could be the manager team? I mean, who knows? I mean, this is clearly all about money. And you know what? People will pay to go to Vegas to watch this tournament because people pay to go to Vegas to do lots of things. If I were in Vegas during that time, would I go watch? Sure, of course. Why not? I just don't I don't understand why. I don't understand why. I mean, Fox clearly thinks there's a market for it. Let's see.
All right, George. I told you they were going. What do you think, man?
So, you know, we talked about this with college football. So you just have seen the seeds planted for the death knell of the NIT. Mm-hmm. NCAA better be on their P's and Q's because it could be the death knell for the tournament, because with the money involved, as long as the money's involved, and you saw how many teams kept dropping out of NIT. And if this money gets to a significant amount, you're going to have one rogue team, and guaranteed it'll be some team in Texas or Louisiana like, oh, I ain't taking my invitation to NCAA. I'm going to Vegas. And as soon as one does it, it's going to start out. So, hey, all I got to say is, yeah, NCAA, pull bootstraps up, get the tournament. I'd even forget the NIT. I don't even know if it's worth the money right now, because it's going to kill it. And I'm telling you, they just might as well get everything together for the NCAA tournament, because it's going to be, when the money gets right, it's going to be a problem.
Will, you're my regular cat. This came across your desk. What are you thinking?
I think it's good for college basketball as its totality. I don't think it's good for the NCAA. But you have to remember, sorry, there are a lot of kids who don't make it to professional ranks. I think, and St. John's is one of those teams. They were kind of shortchanged, to not play in the NIT. This might be the last time I put on a jersey. I know they'll find a lot of guys who will want to play, especially if you're not going to the pro. Now, obviously, the guys who, go on those opportunities to play in the NBA will look at, agents and transfer portal, things like that. But majority of the guys on the team, you can field like 11 at least, or 10 guys to play in the tournament, and I think it's something that, because the funny thing is, the NIT puts good basketball on. It's just
great final. That was a great final.
They need a rebrand. They need a rebrand. It's been the longest time as not invited tournament or whatever thing. They need a rebrand. And maybe with AEG, it's like, let's look at and change the NIT and change our own brand and change like the whole like thing that they don't want to do.
Wait a minute. Did you just say the NCAA going to change something?
No,
yeah, you
won't.
come on.
Saying,
yeah. I know they won't.
I don't. They won't. No, they won't. A smart organization would, if you want to get that brand. If you remember, you guys are a little older, so you guys definitely remember this. You remember the Chevy Nova?
Yes.
Remember Chevy Nova?
Yes,
remember the Chevy Nova didn't sell in Mexico, and it was a big fail because Nova in Spanish is don't run. It's the same thing with NIT. You can't have that. Those three letters, you gotta get rid of them. They won't change it, but I think it'll put some pressure on them, and obviously we'll see it. So it's like, look, AEG straight up said, look, we doing this. But another opportunity to have kids play without closing their basketball careers is obviously great for them too. There's guys who ain't gonna play in the NBA, who's not gonna play in Europe, who are gonna work at Home Depot or do whatever they want to do. But their last taste of glory, man, is playing in AEG. People gonna watch it. I would watch it. I think it's gonna be cool. NIT, y'all better get scared because we're gonna watch, right? We gonna
so football doesn't care about basketball, and we all know this. And the NCAA tournament, even in a meh year, still is exciting, and it's perfect as it is. But all this is going to do is drive what most regular basketball people don't want, and that's tournament expansion, because the NCAA tournament is not going away. But guys are losing their jobs every year because they're not making the NCAA tournament. So if you got a chance to play in this, and to my knowledge, I think they're actually going to they're going to pay players. They'll flush this out, but I think players are going to get some NIL loot. That's a great secondary item, and there might be a rogue team that says, I don't know. No, I don't think so, because those NCAA units, Robert, they're pretty significant. So yeah, that disregard the rogue team. But man, why are we doing this?
I'm telling you, when the money, especially it being in Vegas, because it's in Vegas, the money that goes along with it. If it catches on at all, and they catch it, it's going to be a problem, and you're going to have a rogue team, because no school is going to pass up the money.
I don't know if there's going to be a president though that's going to say you've got permission to do that. Okay. It's going to be
All right. Okay.
I
Look,
feel you.
University
But I'm still the academic folks.
There's always a University of Miami.
Yes.
Okay. So I don't say there won't be. There's always a University.
There's always a heel. Yeah. You guys are right. All right. So when we get back, we're going to wrap up the NBA season. Play-in tournament's about to start. And let's see if they're going to talk about the Lakers and the Warriors. We'll be right back on the Coach's Podcast.
Why should student athletes use the CKA SAVE Project academic and athletic consulting services? Over the past 15 to 20 years, colleges, universities, professional sports teams, business organizations, and others have increased their use of consulting services to improve their decision-making processes and results. Over the same time, the athletic and academic landscape has changed for high school and college student athletes as the NCAA has raised initial academic eligibility requirements for student athletes while decreasing the number of transfer restrictions. Former college student athletes have noted that they were academic and athletically unprepared for the rigors of college. Let the CKA SAVE Project's close to 30 years of academic and athletic experience help guide student athletes to increase success as we work to help student athletes achieve the goal of obtaining a college degree. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
All right, welcome back to the iCoaches Podcast in segment 3. NBA play-in tournament will be starting shortly, so let's give you the NBA top 10. Boston 1, Minnesota 2, Denver 3, OKC 4, Bucks 5, Clippers 6, Dallas 7, Phoenix 8, New Orleans 9, and Sacramento's 10. In the East, top 6, all teams in the East are locked into the play-ins and the playoffs. Boston, Bucks, Cavs, Magic, Knicks, and Pacers are the top 6. 7 through 10, Heat, Sixers, Embiid is back. Bulls and Hawks and Bum Silly and Lottery Time. Brooklyn Nets, Raptors, Hornets, Wizards, and Pistons. George, in the East, what are your thoughts? Julius Randle's back. No, he's not.
No,
so
he's
anyway,
not.
I know. Knicks are done.
The Knicks might actually win some, might actually go pretty far because he's out for good. He's out for the rest of the season. But I've been watching. Man, look, who's going to stop Boston? I can't. I don't see anybody in the East. You got the Bucks probably have a team to do it, but they can't get right. They just like Eddie Murphy can't get right. They can't get right. And Boston is such a cohesive unit. Everybody on that team knows their role and knows what they're supposed to do. And as long as you got, Tatum making those decisions, because he makes up for all the bad decisions Brown makes. But they play defense, which doesn't happen with probably 65 to 75% of the NBA. They play defense. So I don't know there's nobody out there to stop them. I don't see anybody handling them in a 7-game series.
Robert, thoughts in the East, sir? Anything catch your eye?
Well, I mean, right now, the only team that's really playing well is the team that doesn't have to, is the Celtics. Everybody else is just kind of beating each other up. You really don't want to be 4 or 5 because you might win a series, but then you got to play the Celtics. You want to be 2-3 or 6 or 7 because then you get to stay away from the Celtics until the finals. So that's, I don't know. I mean, the Knicks right now are sitting number 4. Could they beat the Cavs, win a series? Absolutely. Then they get to play the Celtics. Season over.
All right. Well, East thoughts, sir.
Like Robert and George says, I mean, Boston is looking amazing right now. They've won 4 in a row. They're 14 games away. Like, there's no one even close. I haven't seen such distance in that in terms of, since a long time. How bad Milwaukee is ending the season. I can't think they're going to go into the playoffs with losing 3 in a row. They don't really know the whole relationship with Giannis and Dame and how it's running. And it's ironic that the dude they sent to Boston is now in their first place. Everything is shaping up supposed to be. The only thing I would say, Boston, you got to tighten it up because in their 0-2 games and all over the season, they're 2-4, which shows that they could be losing that lack of focus when they go into those long games. But other than that, I don't see anybody beating them. KP is playing amazing right now. He's healthy, obviously. They were talking about his foot and things like that, but he's looking like he's solid. Everybody's, looking like they rolling right now. So I don't see anybody beating Celtics.
All right. I'm going to throw this at you, though. Embiid is back, and he's healthy.
So
did I do anything? Did I do anything? Did I do Sports Center compelling?
No.
Never.
The Celtics were beating up on the Sixers with him there. So it wasn't like it's not a change. Oh, by the way, Cotton, do you want to change those comments you made a couple months ago about Jason Tatum?
No.
Oh, you sticking with him?
He loses focus. Every time he loses focus. Every time he doesn't do his thing, every time he defers to Brown, they lose. I'm not saying it happens all the time. I'm just saying that it happens. He defers and doesn't decide to play. And you don't want to be in a game 7 and you get one of those games from Tatum. I'm just saying.
I will agree with him. If when you coming down late in the game, he's got to have the ball. He's got to got the ball, and he has to make the decision. You can't.
I was able to stop him. The dude is amazing.
Brown is just a loose cannon that can get hot, but then he can also shoot you out the game. So I gotta agree with that.
All right. So in the West, we've got Minnesota, Denver, OKC, Clippers, Mavs, and Suns 7 through 11 because it's not all settled, but it's getting there. New Orleans, Sacramento, the Lakers, Golden State, and the Rockets, and there seems to be a little distance with Golden State and the Rockets, so I'm sure Adam Silver's very pleased. And Utah, Memphis, Portland, and the Spurs round it up. George, what's going on in the West, man?
Y'all see me right now, right? Just the headache I have from hearing about the Lakers in the playing game. I'm sick of it. Can we just play it and get it over with? That's it. I mean, if Golden State's holding on because Steph Curry is freaking out of his mind. He every once in a while he gets help from somebody else, but even then it's a toss up. So that whole situation, I'm just looking at it, man. Are we looking at a Denver and Minnesota clash in the Western Conference Championship? That's what I'm looking at because I don't see anybody. They're going to be some good series. I want to see how they go. I'm interested to see how the Pelicans shape out because that's a team. I like them. I like that cast they got. But, more and more it's looking like that Minnesota and Denver series going on, and we can see what Ant's going to do. So,
all right, Robert, thoughts on the West or the Denver Nuggets invitation?
Well, I mean, the Warriors are in the playoffs. I mean, they're going to be in that,
Adam Silver.
I mean, and the Lakers are right there. So I could see both. It's not out of the realm of possibility that both the Lakers and the Warriors manage to make it to the first round. That being said, I don't expect either of them to get anywhere, but and those top 3 teams, the Nuggets and Timberwolves and Thunder, are still kind of duking it out. If I want to be number 1, I don't want to be 2 or 3 because then I want to be number 1 so that I'm not messing around having to play the other 2. Because if you're number 1, you're going to play one of them. If you're 2 or 3, you got to play one in the conference semis and one in the conference final.
Yeah. Will, what are you thinking about with the West, man? Is this where we start talking Lakers again? And
man, I hope the Lakers and Warriors lose early so we can put those beds and horses to bed. I'm tired of these Lakers and the Warriors. Oh man, come on! I'm ready to move on. Like they need to lose the playoffs and not be a talk about. I don't want to talk about the Lakers for the next 2 months, or if they get through the play-in. Everybody's looking good. I mean, Minnesota still holding number 2 from Cat when he was injured a long time, which is going to hold bad for Cat because they're going to let him go if they make it that run. Clippers are there where they're supposed to be. Mavericks are hot right now. Let's see if they can sustain it. They're 9-1. I think they won 3 in a row. Yeah, everybody's looking good for the West, man. They're all jostling. They're all got their position. Now they got to see who wants it, man. And I'm gonna say, man, the Suns are gonna scare people because they play people. They have 2 very good offensive players who can score outside of sets and can score outside of what the players want.
Defense.
But same with everybody else. I mean, really everybody. I'm excited about the Western playoff a little bit more than the East. I know it's going to be Boston versus who is really what we're asking.
All right, so with me, yeah, let's just get the playoffs started so I don't have to hear about LeBron, AD, Steph Curry. It's done. It's over. I'm sorry it's over, but it's over, okay? So to wrap up, I was going to talk about Bronny James declaring, but the NBA Hall of Fame came out with the latest class. And a couple of years ago, Mike and I, franchise that is, actually went through the NBA top 75 and broke down their stats and broke down their numbers. So now as the Hall of Fames come out every year, I'm kind of hypersensitive. And I'm always asking, and Robert's been on shows with me, is it the Hall of Fame or Hall of Very Good? So, George, you saw the list of names that came out. Vince Carter, Chauncey, Mr. Big Shot, so many others. Am I just being mean, or what do you think?
No, I'm in agreement with you because it's becoming like if you, being the baseball guy I am, baseball's getting the same way. And it's like it used to be guys that did something special, that were at the top of the game. Like now it's just, yeah, he was real good. I mean, he was a solid player, and it just, I don't know. I don't know where to cut off. And I don't know if it's because we got to a point where you get to ask that question about who you're going to let in. Is this going to be, but it should be an exclusive club, and we shouldn't be making concessions because such and such. Like I love Chauncey Billups, Mr. Big Shot. Yeah, he got a great nickname and he hit some big shots and he did this. But really, Chauncey Billups in the Hall of Fame? No, come on, man. I can't see that. So yeah, I think a lot of Hall of Fames are tilting to that. Yeah, just be very good and you can get a jacket.
So Robert, you bring me levity. I'm going to ask you about Vince Carter. Vince Carter was an 8-time All-Star, NBA Rookie of the Year, had the longest career in NBA history. He played 22 seasons. He scored 25,000 points, almost 26,000, and that's good for 21st in league history. And he's going to get passed fairly often, fairly quickly. Your thoughts? I'll let you talk me off the ledge.
I've never, when you talk about great players of that era, I don't think about Vince Carter.
And this is a no bum conversation. No, this is the Hall of Fame is what we're talking about.
And not that he was not a great player, not that he was not, I mean, he was an athletic freak for that time, but I'm not feeling it. Same with Chauncey Billups. I'm not feeling it. And this very well could be a, similar to a Jordan versus LeBron conversation, get off my lawn kind of thing. But I'm not feeling it.
All right, well, you're going to have the last words on this. Chauncey Billups was a 5-time All-Star, and he won an NBA championship with the Pistons. He was MVP of the finals. Is that enough for you?
Well, I'm going to go with my panelists. No, I don't think so. Not Chauncey Billups. Now, Vince Carter, I can speak, obviously this is me. I was 13 years old when he went in the dunk contest. So for me, my view, like what I see with Vince Carter, it's like jumping out like seeing I've never seen in my life. Like the kind of he was dunking, like I've never like reverse windmill going the opposite way. Don't get me wrong. And to argue Vince Carter, to say if we're going to put the best shooter in the Hall of Fame, we're going to put the best, passer in the Hall of Fame, best rebounder, best blocker.
So he's the best in-game.
I mean, dunker. He's one of the best.
That's what we're holding to the Hall of Fame.
That's
best in-game dunker.
He was so good.
Well,
he didn't do that much, but he's still being considered for the Hall of Fame.
Well, wait a minute. Did you ever, when you sat back and you were like, "Oh, we get ready to play Toronto"? You wanted to see him dunk. He wasn't the most feared guy, like he was going to win the game.
I'm with you.
So
he was an era when you were a teenager. Vinsanity for the dudes right now.
There we go with the nicknames. The franchise is here. There we go with the nickname.
What's scary about this is wasn't he was he the year or 2 years behind Kobe?
He was a year behind. No, they were 96. They were the same draft class.
He wasn't the same because Allen Iverson was in that draft class. So Allen Iverson.
Ray Allen was in that one.
But anyway, so you're putting them on the same plane with the Kobe Bryants and the Ray Allen.
No. Remember, this is not the NBA Hall of Fame. This is the basketball.
Then he don't
Hall
go in.
Of Fame.
Then he don't go
in. His college all the way through his professional.
All right,
he's getting in.
Yes, he's getting in.
Yeah, he's getting in.
Again, he's not top 75. He's not even close. He's not even close to. But if you talk about college all the way through his career in the NBA, one of the longest careers in the NBA.
The longest.
Yeah, the longest.
And listen, Cal Ripken's not in the Hall of Fame because he had the longest streak. Cal Ripken he's not. Cal Ripken was MVP of the league.
Oh, okay.
Right.
He had more home runs than any shortstop up until a point.
You lose
plus
nothing.
Plus he won a championship. Yeah, you do. Credibility. You lose credibility.
You
lose credibility.
People even say
you lose credibility.
He don't really deserve it, but
he don't. You lose.
I would
go ahead, Robert. Bring it back so we can wrap it up. I would just
like to point out for the record that the Hall of Fame in question is the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Okay, but one of the other nominees, good, bad, or indifferent, is Michael Cooper.
Yeah, you be in there.
5 rings.
Sure.
The defensive person.
Defensive. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And he had chips and Lakers. So I'm talking about the whole resume.
Is he an NBA Hall of Famer? I'd argue no.
No.
And he is almost inarguably the greatest player in New Mexico, University of New Mexico basketball history. And I only know that because that's where I'm from. And he was on their best team ever. So you put those two together and he's in the Basketball Hall of Fame.
I think that's a good way to close.
And he was a great
with the New Mexico.
Never had to worry about him. Never had to suspend him.
Okay.
Never had to call him and tell him you need to at the office in New York.
Yeah,
and he won with the Sparks. And he coached the Sparks too.
Man.
Okay. All right. So on behalf of our Cavalcade stars, I'm Dr. Keith Adams, New Mexico basketball history, saying thank you for listening and to watching the Our Coaches podcast. And we'll see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care.
Go Vince, let's go, baby.
Oh man.
Oh God.
The iCoaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.